All right, well, welcome to the official UPL Season 11 Power Rankings, hosted by T4U and co-hosted by me.
Why is it?
Um,
What? All
yes.
right, I guess I'm in charge now.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
he's the
put
one
on
in
my big
charge.
boy hat.
Well, because it's my first PR, so I want to take more of the back seat, you know? And also, you're the one with the championship titles. You have more authority in this.
I don't think I have more authority than the boss, but sure.
No, just for this, I'll give it to
Oh, just for this. Okay.
you. Yeah, so our plan is we're just going to go on and discuss each team individually, give our thoughts. If we have any individual rankings about the team, we're going to say it then, and then all the way at the end, we're going to say what like our PRs are in order, and then we'll compare ours. So yeah, let's get started then.
All right.
So
So
first
first
up
up, go ahead.
is Middy with the Collingwood Corvinites. You want to go first with your thoughts on this team?
Sure. All right. So this team has pretty good. So the things I was looking at just before I start, I guess the most important things I put like before anything else are how many hazards you have and how many different types, how good you are at getting rid of your opponent's hazards, how big your biggest speed gap is, because that can be really important in prep, and how many options you have available for priority. And I listed every possible priority. So even if it's something weird like vacuum wave on Scizor, it still counts for something. I got hit with a vacuum wave Scizor on my Kartana last week, and it almost, or maybe the week before, and it almost actually changed the game. So everything gets listed. And then your just ability to have a cleric of some capacity, whether it's Wish, Heal Bell, Aromatherapy, some combination of those. Those were all the things that I was really looking for.
Yeah, so pretty much for myself, I was looking at how many because T4U did like all the hard work. I was looking at how many immunities or absorbing you have, and I also later will give a fear factor, which is just looking at your team, how scary is it? Without like going just like first thoughts, not going in depth.
Right, you just
So
look at
that's
the
me,
team and
yeah.
just, oh god, that one hurts in the gut to think about.
Yeah, that's pretty much how I did that. So yeah, you want to talk about yours then? You're like
Yeah,
what you
sure.
see in this team?
So Middy's team, real quick, is Archeops, Infernape, Cryogonal, Zygarde, Obstagoon. I guess you know what? This is a lot of I'm thinking how many Pokemon I'd have to say. Maybe I won't list them out. You can look at
Yeah,
the pictures. I
you can
trust
look
you.
at the images. You know the teams.
Uh, but so I really like the kind of the bulk I see on this team. I really like Zygarde. I like Scizor. I like Clefable. Electros, Slowbro. This team is going to take a long time to kill.
Yep. I mean, it has really good mons. I mean, when Electros is something that everybody loves, I don't think anyone necessarily hates it other than, when they face it. Because
Yeah, I think
everyone wants Electros. It's such a good mon.
no one's ever disappointed by Electros. It never wins you the game, but it's never the reason you lose either. It's a very good glue.
hmm And then Slowbro with regen, and then Double is great. I used it WPF. It could kill a whole team, if you're not careful.
No, Bull's so funny because if you prep for it, like, okay, it's going to bring the Cotton Guard body
Yeah.
press set, it just passes like 4 Swords Dances over to Obstagoon and you lose.
Yep. And then there's also Clefable with Unaware, and that's also disgusting. It has very good bulk on this team.
Yeah, this team is going to be hard to break through. On the flip side, though, this team is not particularly fast. It only tops out at 110. It's got great speed tiers from 30 at Slowbro all the way up to Archeops at 110. But you really need something faster than that, too. So something has got to be scarfed every week. There's no option to not have a scarfer. So I think prepping for Middy, if you can figure out who it's going to be just based on the preview, you're going to be able to kind of whittle this team down a little bit because they've got to rely so heavily on that.
I think the one thing though that is nice is it does have some decent options for priority, like Bullet Punch, of course.
Oh, yeah. And Infernape hits on both sides. You can do
hmm
Vacuum Wave or Mach Punch.
And then
Uh,
Zygarde, I believe, gets Extreme Speed as
yep.
well. So yeah, it
I
it
do
has
like
good
this.
options.
Go
Yeah,
ahead.
it just has
Yeah.
good options.
I really like the setup options on this team. So we've got Coil on Zygarde, Dragon Dance on Zygarde. Infernape can do Swords Dance or Nasty Plot. Clefable can do just about anything. Scizor is a really good Swords Dancer. Double can pass 3 different viable stats to other things or just set up itself. There's a lot of really good setup on here.
Yeah, and then as for hazards, lots of rocks, and it does have also options for spikes and toxic spikes, which is good because, hazards are always nice.
Yeah, the one thing I don't like is that all the options that aren't rocks are Roserade. So if you see
Yeah.
Roserade, it's probably got those spikes or those toxic spikes based on the team, just because it's the only source of anything but rock.
And I believe no, it's not the only one, but it's pretty much also the biggest healer, or the biggest cleric.
Clefable is right there and very offended
yes.
with you.
Well, like
Clefable is
aromatherapy,
the only wish pather.
Yeah.
But yeah, Clefable and Roserade are the 2 status curers of the team.
Yeah, so if you see them, you're probably going to know what they have.
All right, shall we move on? Oh, actually, I guess I had one more ranking, not overall power rankings, but I ranked you within your division, how I think you're going to stack up against the people you face the most. And so I guess I'll throw those out as we're going through the division.
Mm-hmm.
So within Lycanroc division specifically, I put Middy at number 3 out of 4. Because I think that speed is really slowing him down.
And then as for my fear factor rating, which is just a factor out of 10, I gave it a 6 out of 10 because, again, the speed, not the best thing in the world. And a lot of these mons don't incite the most terror, Mainly it's going to be Scizor Mega that's contributing, and then also Zygarde.
Yeah, if you can find a way to consistently break those 2 mons, I think the rest of the team is going to be folded pretty easily.
Yep. And with that, let's move on to team number 2, which is Oremity with the Seattle Talonflames. And then I think we forgot to say it, but obviously these are our opinions, Don't be offended.
Oh, yeah. Fight me, but also this is just my thoughts on this.
Yep. So then let's discuss our thoughts on this team. I think we're pretty similar in thoughts on this team, at least from looking at the notes. At least you'll see it when we get to the end, but it feels like this team's kind of lacking something, at least to me.
Yeah, I agree. Team's got a little bit of everything. It's got a little bit of setup. It's got a little bit of speed. It's got actually pretty good top-end speed.
But at the same time, nothing's really standing out to me except for maybe Lando, maybe Jolteon, but nothing really...
Oh, see, I'm much more impressed with the Venusaur Celesteela defensive combo.
Oh, that's really good, yeah. But offensively, not other than Lando, it doesn't feel like too much.
Yeah, this team feels like it's going to ride or die on if Komodo can get off the Clangorous Soul Blaze or Scales or whatever the setup one is this gen. I forget which one's the Z move and which one's this gen's move. But if Komodo can get that move off, I think this team's in a good spot. If you can't pull it off, or if Komodo's too weak to sweep after it sets it up, I think this team's going to suffer.
I think the one good thing that it does have going for it, though, is Silvally can just be any type, which is always nice. But
absolutely.
At the same time, and so that there's that little mystery aspect for whoever's prepping. You don't know what Silvally is going to be brought, if brought at all.
Right. I think one other thing I don't love about this team is that there's a couple picks that feel off to me. They don't feel like they're filling a role that this team needs. Leavanny gives you webs, but this doesn't feel like a team that's set to kind of take advantage of webs. Mm-hmm. And I'm not entirely sure what Magmar's supposed to be doing here. It's a fire type, but I think there were
interesting
others.
Pick. I feel like there's definitely something that could have been picked.
Yeah, it's bulky. It's going to live forever.
I hope you show us something good with Magmar. Don't get us wrong.
Oh, I can't wait.
Yeah, because I think it's the first time it's been drafted here, so I'm very curious to see what it does. But
yeah, I don't think I've seen a Magmar used in any sense since Gen 5.
Yeah,
so I can't wait to see what happens.
It'll be very interesting. With that, you want to give your division ranking?
Yeah, so I think, unfortunately, this is probably my 4th place ranking for Lycanroc, just because we haven't talked about Cuppa or Bucs yet, but I think that those two have just much more cohesive teams, and I think Middy's just has a better defensive backbone, whereas I think this one struggles. I don't think it's a bad team, I just think compared to the other 3, it's not holding its own weight as well.
Yeah. With this, I gave it a fear factor of 5.5 out of 10, with like the main thing being again like Kamoa and Landorus kind of hold it up, but at the same time, there's nothing else that's really too intense on the team. With that though, let's move on to the next two teams, starting with Cuppa, which are a lot more terrifying.
Yeah,
So
this
Cuppa
is
of
the
the
first game
Queensland
that hurts.
Conkelders. Yeah, definitely. So I guess I'll talk about this one first.
Go for it.
Zeraura's terrifying. It's always a terrifying mon to face. And then
Is that
Conkelders,
how you pronounce that?
I mean, that's how I pronounce it, Zeraura.
I don't
I
know
don't
if you're right or not.
know.
You're just the first person I've heard say it like that and not Zera Aura.
I mean,
So
I
now
don't
I'm
know.
confused. I'm
Maybe.
having an identity
Maybe.
crisis.
Maybe. The Pokemon anime hasn't, confirmed or denied.
Right, yeah, we don't have one yet.
But yeah, so Zeraora, Zeraora, Mew, Charizard, Conkeldurr, all very strong. Scolipede can do some damage with Baton Pass, probably. There's a lot of good things on this team, to say the least.
Yeah,
Um,
I also especially like how fast the top end of this team
oh
is.
yeah,
Zeraora is the fastest thing in its whole division, and Swellow is only outsped by a couple of Mons in the whole division. So those are two things that hit the field, and they're faster. They're going to get their nuke off before you get to respond.
and there's really good Cleric. There's Vaporeon and Comfey, and at the same time also really good bulk. Because again, Vaporeon, Regice, Piloswine. It's just
And
very
Mew.
yeah, and Mew. Mew can be anything. It's a very good cohesive team, I think.
I like the Charizard Mega Y here. So Bucs has Rain. We haven't got to Bucs yet, but so I like it not because it's going to beat Rain, because Sun will always lose to Rain,
Yeah.
and Cuppa doesn't actually even have anything to
Yeah,
abuse the
that's
Sun.
like the one downside. There's like nothing that does well with the sun, but at the same time, nothing really needs it.
But I like that Charizard's there because it can take away the Rain. So he doesn't get benefit from the Sun, but he gets benefit from the no more Rain, and also he can take away
Right.
the Ninetales Alola's Hail, so there can be no
Yeah, so it definitely is
Aurora
like a
Veil.
counter pick on the division. Not if that was intended or not, we don't know, but it definitely counterpicks his division.
I do actually know it was relatively a counter pick. I was
Well
talking to
then,
him when he was making it.
well then, very smart move. Yeah. The one
I'm
thing as
very
well, there's
excited.
no complete fire water grass core, but I'm not sure if he really needs it, to be honest, because he doesn't have a
Yeah.
grass type. Yeah, so go
I'm
ahead.
very upset he got Indeedee because I took Tapu Lele like several rounds before this because I forgot Indeedee was a Pokemon and I forgot it was like T3, and I'm
Yeah.
very upset because I think he got the better deal for that than I did.
Yeah, I mean, it's a really good mon. Has good immunities because it's immune to Ghost, unlike Tapu
Yeah.
Lele. With that, let's give our rankings, I think.
So I think in division,
Mhm.
I really like this one, but I think it's a really strong team and it's got really good pieces and they all work together. But I don't think it's got quite as much cohesion as Bucs' team, so I'm giving it number 2 out of the division.
So I gave it a fear factor of 6.5 out of 10, which is very heavily held up by Zeraora and Indeedee.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
They hit the field, something dies, or at least you're taking a chunk of damage.
Oh yeah, 100%. And with that, let's go on to an even more terrifying team as we've been building up to it, which is Bucs' team, the Bronx Blastoise. So as we've hinted, it's a rain team.
Yeah. This is a full and proper rain team with Pelipper, Ludicolo, and Swampert. And then a couple of things that really benefit from the rain. Like Coco in the rain is no joke. If you can throw off thunders in the rain, ooh, and electric terrain, that hurts.
And then there's Goodra, which can benefit with hydration. And just like
Scizor benefits from the fire resist, or not resistance,
Z
but
can
weakening.
probably abuse all that as well. The electric surge, the rain. So yeah, there's a lot of really good stuff here. Lots of good bulk with Deoxys defense. What a great mon.
Oh man, I'm not looking forward to facing Deoxys defense and Goodra as the defensive core.
Yeah, that's going to be very hard to get through.
So one thing I like that this team has is it doesn't need rain. There's enough competent things on this team that you don't actually have to run any of the rain part of the team, and you still have a solid team here. And I think that's a trap that a lot of weather drafters fall into, where everything has to benefit from my rain or my sun. And then
Yeah.
if you have a team that beats those things, you're just out.
Yeah, and one of the nice things as well is like Swampert Mega, it's weak to grass, but then you have two sap sippers here, which is really, really nice.
Don't forget the quad resist in Talonflame and the
Yeah,
quad resist in Scizor. This team does not care about grass.
yeah, which is really, really good. It definitely works with itself. It helps itself. Yeah.
The one thing I think this team's going to struggle with is it doesn't have a wish passer, and a lot of these mons are easy to wear down. So there is actually a ton of recovery on this team. Like almost everything, I'm just looking through it right now. I think only Gudra gets Life Dew, but we're not counting Life Dew as an option. So Gudra, Garbodor, Swampert, Ludicolo are the only things that can't actually heal themselves. But if you can start breaking down that wall, just because you can't pass wishes and
Well,
it's
I
only got
mean,
one
you
heal
could
bell.
always run a rain dish Foodie Colo
That's true. And then Leech
and
Seed and Giga Drain,
leftovers.
like
Yeah, there's definitely good things. I mean, Foodie Colo is a great mon. I love Foodie Colo.
yeah. I wouldn't
But
call
yeah,
that reliable
right,
healing, but
it's
it's
not
certainly an
reliable. Yeah.
annoying option that he's got.
Yeah. So yeah, for my fear factor, I gave it a 7 because Deoxys defense and Coco are just terrifying to look at. And there's a lot of other good, strong mons here, but it's mainly those two that are just terrifying to even think about prepping for.
Yeah, I love this team. I think this is probably my favorite team in the whole draft because I think he did such a good job of I'm going to draft Rain because I want to try Rain, but I'm going to do it right. And I think he pulled it off in a really great way. He's got great speed tiers. He's got great in rain, out of rain. Nothing's really hurt by the rain. I think he did great. And so you've heard the other three numbers, so you know, already know he's number one in division for me.
Yep. And with that, let's move on to the next division, starting with T4U himself of the Boston Red Sox.
That's me.
That's you, yeah. So also another very terrifying team, in my opinion. Aeromega, Lele, Nidoking. You got, your classic Terrain and Lucha.
I
There's
haven't
a
drafted Terrain Lucha in so long. I'm so
Yeah,
excited.
there's a lot of really scary stuff on this team. Um, so you want to talk
I don't know
about
what
your
you're
team
talking
then?
about. I'm not worried about facing this team. I'm not scared of
Yeah,
it.
I mean, yeah, there's
No.
there's every single type of hazard. You got lots
I
of
think
rocks. You got
I think
webs. You got like everything.
I think I'm actually the only team that has every hazard. Let me
Yeah,
just.
yeah. From what I'm
I
seeing,
am.
you are. Yeah.
Yes.
Um, there is also good hazard removal, but yeah, just overall very terrifying team. Alamamola is annoying to deal with. Ferrothorn is annoying to deal with. I'm glad though that Bucs didn't get Ferrothorn. That would have been terrible. But
I actually almost drafted Finny instead of Lele, and if I did, I would have taken Finny Deoxys Defense. And honestly, like I think
yeah,
I think you guys lucked out that I didn't get that combo over what I've got. But then he would have had Ferrothorn in the rain, and that's you know what? I think everybody's better that neither of us got what we wanted.
but yeah, and then Lele, its weakness is poison, but then you have like Nidoking and Ferrothorn, which so you got your really good defenses to save Lele, and just overall, it's just terrifying to look at. Which is why I gave it the highest fear factor of 9 out of 10 because it is just disgusting to look at.
I have the fastest and also I think the slowest Pokemon in the whole draft. Yeah,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I've got I think I might have the best speed tiers, except for my big gap from Alamomola down to Drampa. But
Oh yeah, dang. But
that's
yeah,
a big
definitely if
drop.
you face this team because of Arrow, you need like either to somehow set up speed or you're bringing like multiple scarfs, I assume. At least
Right.
one, at least two probably, because it's just
But you've also got to be able
yikes.
to outspeed Halucha, which I'm not entirely certain anything can in just terms of raw speed. So you've got to outlive it or get rid of Unburden somehow or get rid of my terrain
Yeah,
before I can use Unburden.
yeah. It's going to be very hard to fight this team. I apologize to anyone who has to fight it. Um, That's my thoughts on it.
I'm pretty happy with it.
Of course you are. It's got the most terrifying team. With that, though, let's go on to team number 6, DZBanned one of the Thunderbolt Mareeps. You got any thoughts on this one?
I like the power in this team. I really like Azelf, Kartana, Garchomp, Gyarados, Mega, and to a degree Sylveon. I think this team has a lot of really good heavy hitters. And I think where this team's going to kind of fall apart a bit is that it's relatively slow. Like everybody's bunched in that 115 to 102 range. And it's going to rely super heavily on Gyarados getting the DD and sweep.
100%, yeah. Like you said, Gyarados, Garchomp, Kartana, Sylveon, those 4 are definitely the strongest things there. Azelf's really good. I almost considered Azelf for myself. And we'll get there when we get there. But yeah, it's not the most bulky team, but it's definitely a hard-hitting team.
Yeah, I like the Hitmontop, Sylveon, Regirock kind of defensive core.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure what Torkoal does for this team. It's a bulky fire type. It sets rocks. It spins, but nothing on this team benefits from Sun except Heliolisk. And I guess you can argue Kartana can use Solar Blade in the Sun, but that's pretty
It'll be
niche.
interesting, yeah, to see what Torkoal does, if it does anything, or if it's just there to provoke and scare everyone.
Right.
And
or if
then,
it's just there to have a fire type to face the Ferrothorn next to it.
Maybe, yeah. And then also, it does have webs on this team, so the speed might not be the worst thing going for it.
Yeah. Oh man, Kartana with webs on your side is terrifying. You get
Yep.
one boost and it's over.
I mean, I love Vikavolt. Vikavolt's a great mon.
Yeah,
but
it is.
yeah. But yeah, it definitely has really good mons on this team. Which is why I gave it a fear factor of 8 out of 10. Because again, Garchomp, Gyarados, and Kartana, just oof. Big oof.
Yeah, I think this team's going to ride or die real hard on Gyarados and Kartana. Everything else is going to be there basically just to punch holes until those two can clean up.
Yeah, 100%. You want to give your division ranking?
Yeah, I really like this team. So I didn't say it when we were on me, but I don't think this is me picking me because I like me, but I think I'm number 1 in my division, just in terms of raw on paper stats. And DZBanned is coming in second, right behind me. He's got a good, solid team that I think is just going to be let down a little bit by the low top speed and the kind of weird choices like Dusknoir and Torkoal aren't going to be pulling as much weight as he wants them to.
100%. With that, let's go to the next team, MrDarkington of Terra's Rar Chomps.
I love that name. That's so fun.
It's a fun name. It really is. It's an interesting team. I think that can that kind of gives our opinions.
This is the first team that I'm just not sure what's going on. I don't like every other team I can see, okay, this is kind of the plan, this is where we're going with. This is the first team where each pick kind of feels like they just picked what they thought was good in that tier and they don't have cohesion together.
Yeah, I don't really see a lot of things working too well together on this team. Maybe Lantern Mandibuzz to get some sort of healing going on, but nothing really stands out to me, at least. Like offensively, I think Mamo just is initially a good threat. Volcarona as well can be like kind of tough to deal with, but other than that, it's like nothing just stands out really to me.
Yeah, I mean, Aggron Mega is going to take hits for days, but I don't really... It doesn't pair well with the rest of his defensive mons, because Aggron, Weezing, Lantern, all weak to ground. Mandibuzz isn't taking the fighting hits that Aggron was going to be taking. And I know Weezing can levitate, but it doesn't always. It has other options as well. And I don't see anything that's there that's going to take the fire moves aimed at Aggron at all. Like, it's just Lantern.
Yeah.
Who can't take him forever.
Yeah, it definitely won't take too many. Which is why, like, I kind of had to give it it's not the lowest one, it's tied for the lowest, but it has a fear factor of 5 out of 10 because just nothing stands out other than, like, Mamo.
Yeah, I mean, I think this team has some of the scariest setup possible. It's got Volcarona, which
setup,
on its
but just
own,
like initially
awesome.
without looking at anything, it's just like, oh, Mamo's there. and that's like about it. But
Yeah,
definitely, if
Volcarona,
Volcarona sets up,
Poltergeist
you
is
lose.
definitely
Yeah, if those two set up, you lose.
yeah.
They're definitely good for setting up, but just like without setting up, it's not much.
And I like Gothitelle on this team actually quite a bit, because if Gothitelle can come in and trap the one thing that stops Poltergeist from sweeping, or if it comes in and it traps the rock type and takes the rock type out for Volcarona, I think you put yourself in a really good spot. I just think there's a lot of choices in here, like Primeape. I don't really see doing all that much. Lantern, I don't see helping too much. Tinfino, I don't get at all. It's your fastest mon, but really, it's what's it doing in that fight?
Yeah. So yeah, you want to give then your ranking for it?
In division, I don't see this team doing all that well. I have it at 4 out of the division.
Yeah. With that, let's go to the last one in the division, Kronos of the GWS Gladiators.
Do you know what the GWS stands for? I don't.
I want to say it's something Australian.
I If it's not, I'm gonna be surprised. I just don't know what it means.
Yeah, I don't know. But this team I definitely think is one of Kronos's better drafted teams. I love a lot of the Mons on this team overall. Drotigan is great, Registeel is great, Gliscor, Weavile, Lopunny, Crobat. Like there's just a lot of really good Mons on this team.
Yeah,
Um,
I agree.
I mean, Drotigan is
Uh,
always great. It's like Electros. It's nice to have it, you know? Um,
yeah,
I don't think anyone's ever sad that they have it. As for like, it's really good offensively too. Like Lopunny, Gliscor, Weavile, Crobat. Just offensively, those four are really, really good. However, this team, at least in my opinion, is very weak to two moves in particular, and that's uh, Ice Shard and Bullet Punch. And I think that is going to be its downfall.
yeah. I think this team is really going to struggle with strong priority, because the defensive core is pretty nice, but it's easy to wear down because there's no wish, and the defensive core doesn't have great healing.
Yeah,
Um, so unless you want to run rest, that these things are going to get worn down quickly.
yeah,
Um,
and especially like Gliscor being four times weak to Ice Shard, it's going to go down very quickly. You know. Other than
yeah,
that,
and when
like
you've got ammo in the division, you've got to be worried about that.
yeah, especially I mean yeah, and then also Rillaboom is going to be worried about Ice Shard, Druddigan, Crobat. Yeah, there's just a lot of ice weakness, which is a little bit of a concern, because Mamo, like we've been saying.
Yeah, I think Kronos has some pretty good speed tiers. What I
Hmm.
don't like about them is that there's 3 distinct clusters of speed tiers. He's got a lot of gaps. So he's got Lopunny, Crobat, and Weavile at the blistering fast area, and then he's got a section right in the middle with Gliscor, Rillaboom, Magmortar, and Seismitoad. And then we have another big jump, and he's got your last 4 are all within 8 speed of each other.
Yeah, it's yeah. So he's either going to be like very fast or just meh.
This is the kind of team where you absolutely can cut corners with speed to invest in bulk, because you know he doesn't have anything between Weavile's 125 and Gliscor's 95. That's a lot of Pokemon that can switch from Jolly to Adamant, or go over to Rash and go for a mix set because they can afford to do it.
Yeah. Um, I think that's pretty much all my thoughts. Is there anything else you want to add to it, and then give your score?
I not specifically about this team, but I really like that Magmortar is also drafted, because I think that might be the first time I've seen that too.
I want
So
to say it's my
we got
second
Magmar and
time,
Magmortar.
but yeah.
I must have seen it at least once.
But yeah, so because of how his, top four Mons, Lopunny, Gliscor, Weavile, Crobat, I gave it a fear factor of 7. I could say that it might be a 7.5 though. It's just that weakness to Bullet Punch and Ice Shard, without even thinking, I immediately thought it. So I would say that's the only thing holding it back from being a higher fear factor.
I really like this team. I think the thing that's going to let it down is it's got poor hazard removal, which Kronos is notorious for either not running at all or not using in the match. And
I
I think
feel
that's
that.
going to hurt him. And I think the fact that you don't have any way to recover that damage is going to hurt him. But otherwise, I love this team. I love what he's laid out with it. I think if he can find a way to like sneak a good cleric in there, maybe one more hazard removal, and actually use it, Kronos, I think you're going to be in a great spot.
All right. With
So
that,
I have this at third in the division.
okay. With that, we go to the next division, starting with everyone's favorite Brione, Zicofool of the Bayside Briones. I feel like this is one of Zico's not as best teams, to put it nicely. I do think there's like some really good stuff on here with Magnezone and Victini, but just like I don't like a lot of the stuff on here.
I think she leaned a little too hard into stuff I want to try and not
Yeah.
quite as hard into making a cohesive team. Like I love the idea that she wants to try out Raticate Alola,
Oh yeah, it's great.
Portola, Galar, Brion. I I mean I was expecting the Brion. There's
Yeah,
nothing.
everyone
I don't
expected
think
it.
there's any reason that was not going to get drafted. And honestly, she does really really well with it.
Yeah.
But I think there's too many things that are not gonna hold their weight in battle consistently. They might have one or two good matches where you're like, oh my god, I can't believe Raticate just did that. But it's not gonna be a consistent victor.
Yeah. Victini, I think Victini and Magnezone, I think, are what are going to carry this team heavily. And if, for most battles, and then, just because Zico knows how to use Brion, it'll happen. But other than that, I don't really like this team at all.
I can see
yeah.
this team. I think this is going to be a team that's going to be pretty easy to prep for because the Brion's coming every single week, so that's one spot, and then from there it's pretty easy to spot like what actually fits well versus opponents' teams because I don't love the speed, so everything is bunched up right around that 100 mark, and then they drop off very fast. So the lower end speed tiers are fine, but like Brion's never really running speed. Dragalge's not running speed. Corsola's not running speed. Magnezone only runs speed sometimes. Gligar's not really running speed. This is a slow team, and I think teams are going to be able to punish that.
Yep. I don't really have anything else to say other than my fear factor. It's tied for the lowest at 5 out of 10, just because nothing other than Victini and Magnezone stand out.
I am expecting to see some superior sweeps. I know Diancie Mega is the kind of thing that just turns games around on its own. So I think I'm a little bit more scared of it than that, but I think the bottom half of this team is really going to let it down.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, I think this is fourth in the division for me.
All right. Well, let's continue on with Gators of the Green Bay Slackings, the first of the two Green Bay teams. This team is very interesting. Hydreigon, Rotom Wash, Mawile Mega. Those three just right there, very scary mons. They always are impactful, at least from what I've seen.
Yeah, I really like the defensive core of Hydreigon, Rotom Wash, and Skarmory. I think that is going to do a really good job of soaking up every hit you can throw at it.
100%, yeah. And then for, Skarmory and Rotom's electric weakness, there's Palossand, which is a very nice mon. Of course, they could have designed Palossand better, but that's a different, topic. But
yeah, if water compaction made it water immune, it would be
even
10 times the mon it is
water
right
neutral, at least water neutral.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a nice team. There's lots of really nice things on here. Salazzle is either going to go sub or it could be full offense. So it'll be interesting. And then there's Rayuniclus, which is always a terror to see, especially after I think it was last season. But yeah, there's a lot of
I really
nice
like
things.
all the pieces on this team, and I think this team actually has all the tools it needs to make Mawile shine, which I think it's going to have to rely on. You've got three sources of rocks, you've got one spiker, you've got webs, and I think if this team can effectively utilize those tools to make Mawile sweep, I think it's going to have amazing success.
Yep. With that, I gave it a fear factor of 8 out of 10 because Mawile Hydreigon Rotom that's just terrifying to look at and prep for.
Yeah, I like this team a lot. I think I don't love that all the best stuff on the team is slow. I'm not
Yeah,
super scared of Virizion. Salazzle is really good at going 1-for-1 every single battle, but it's not usually something that's going to get you a good sweep. And so I think the first scary thing is at 98 speed with Hydreigon, and I think
yeah,
that's going to be the thing that really lets this team down.
yeah. Because most things are going to outspeed it, and if not, you're going to scarf or you have some priority or something. So
Yeah,
yeah,
I think if you can find a way to either eat a hit from Mega Mawile or just outspeed it and nuke it before it gets to hurt you, I think you're going to be in a good spot versus this team.
all right. Let's move on to the second Green Bay team then. Oh, you said your division ranking, right?
Oh, I did not. No, I have this one at third purely because I think it's let down by that speed, and I don't know that it's going to be able to recover from that.
All right. Well, then now we can go to the next Green Bay team. So Pup of the Green Bay Drillbers. Instantly looking at this team, two things stand out: the annoying as hell Corviknight and the terrifying Medicham Mega. Um, those are at least my immediate thoughts on it. Um, and I see you have written as well, like it pretty much has no hazards other than like two rock setters.
Yeah, this team does not. This team is going to kill you outright, or it's going to die trying, and there is no in
Yeah,
between.
yeah, I definitely can see like a lot of either very close matches if they're going to be losses, or just complete total wins with this team because there's just so many nice things here.
Yeah, I
Um,
really like Kyurem, Medicham, and Slowbro as just Slowbro G as offensive kind of powerhouses. Kyurem and Medicham are they're at that good speed where they're just about the 100 mark. They're not super fast mons, but they're always going to take down those. They're basically your stall breakers. They're breaking your walls. And then Slowbro is just a good, reliable, consistent source of damage that's really hard to wear down.
and then there's also like really nice stuff. There's Grimmsnarl, which could be offensive, or it could set up your light screen and reflect. There's Inteleon, which is very fast and can hit pretty hard. Um, Mudsdale, which is disgusting defense. I love Mudsdale because stamina is amazing. So yeah, and then as well, like for Corviknight, its main thing is going to be an electric weakness. But then you have Raichu with Lightning Rod, and then you also have Mudsdale. So it's definitely gonna be very hard to kill Corviknight on this team.
Yeah, I agree. One thing I don't love, though, I don't love how much of this team is right around base 60. You've got Corviknight, Grimmsnarl, Incineroar, Eldegoss, and Blissey all right around base 60 speed. And I think, especially because you jump straight from 67 to 95, and then you drop down to Mudsdale down at 35, I think it's going to be really easy to cut speed for bulk against this team. And I don't think it can afford that. You need Medicham to OHKO the thing it hits.
Yeah. So with that, I give it a fear factor of 7.5 out of 10 because the two main things, like I mentioned immediately, Medicham and Corviknight are just terrifying.
I am much more scared of the Kyurem than I am of the Corviknight, but I think I agree in principle that, yeah, this is a scary team on paper. I think it's going to be let down by the speed because everything is bunched up. And I think it's also going to have a hard time because without good hazard setters, it's going to be cutting it close on if Megacham actually
Right,
knocks you
yeah,
out with the hit it lands.
definitely.
Uh,
But yeah,
but
we'll
it does
see.
have two Wish Passers, and one of them is Blissey. So,
God,
uh,
yeah, it definitely has like very annoying bulk mons because of Blissey and Mudsdale.
yeah, Incineroar, Eldegoss, those are very reliable, bulky mons. Eldegoss is, I can't call it good, but it is very bulky. It's not going to die until you're ready to let it die.
All right. With that, let's go to the next team. Or you want to say your division ranking?
I put this one at 2 out of the division. I think it's going to be let down by those speeds, especially how they clump like that. and I don't love that it only has 2 sources of rocks. I think it really needs a little bit more to get up to the #1 spot.
All right. With that, let's go to the next team. And wouldn't you know it, it's my team of the San
Trash,
Diego Pichus.
trash,
Crash.
trash. Throw it away.
I don't
But
know about
do you want to
that.
talk about your team first?
No, let's hear your opinions.
Okay. I actually do really like this team a lot, and I really like that this is the one team in the division that has a very fast mon. It's got Dragapult, which is so much faster than the rest of the division that I don't think you ever have to run a plus speed nature because you are just that far ahead of them, and that actually patches up the one weakness that Dragapult has. You've also got 3 rock setters and a toxic spike setter, which will allow you to kind of slowly chip away. And you've got good bulk, which I do like. I think you're gonna have a hard time kind of keeping them alive for a super long time because your only source of wishes are Togekiss, and
Yeah.
it's not really good for that. But I think if you can stall long enough to kind of punch holes in things, or stall long enough that Dragapult can punch holes in things, you're gonna do just fine.
Yeah, I think this team has good, synergy. Pinsir and Togekiss, which are two terrifying mons to, face against. They're both weak against electric, but then you have like Manectric and Donphan right there. So you're not going to be getting in a lot of electric hits, And then not to mention Tangrowth is there, which is a disgusting mon to fight against, always.
Tangrowth is so thick.
That's exactly why I picked it, just because I didn't want anyone else to have it. So, yeah, there's a lot of just really nice things going on this team. I think a lot of things work really nicely with one another. Of course, this is my opinion. I drafted it.
Yeah, no, I like Pinsir Mega for you, just especially because you're in the division with the Metacham and the
Yeah,
Hydreigon. I think it's at a great speed tier to really rip apart the kind of roughly 100 base speed tiers stuff that's going on.
yeah,
Uh,
definitely. The Pinsir is going to be a good fight with Metacham because I have Aerial 8 and then Quick Attack, So the Metacham definitely has to watch out.
yeah, and it's got Fake Out and Bullet Punch, neither of which are really that scary to Pinsir. I mean,
Yeah,
you'll take a chunk of damage, but you're going to kill it before it kills you every
yeah.
single time.
As long as, I don't do anything stupid.
Yeah,
But
I
yeah,
mean, that's true.
yeah. But yeah, and then it's got Mesprit, which again, like I kind of hinted at it earlier, but I was debating between all three of the, Lake Guardians, and I ended up going with Mesprit just because it's more jack of all trades, rather than wanting pure offense or pure defense.
Yeah, I think Mesprit is pretty good, especially with it. I like that you also have the clumping up speed issue that seems to be
Yeah,
very prevalent in Infernape division. But I think it works out in your favor over everyone else because you clump up just above their speed tiers. You clump up at 80 instead of 60 or 70.
yeah.
And I think that's going to make a big difference in how these battles play out.
And then also like just defensively, again, like Tangrowth is there, and then we have two regenerators because Tangrowth and Mienshao. There's Empoleon, there's Donphan, which is a beautiful Pokemon. And then, yeah, there's just lots of really nice things going on here, in my opinion.
Yeah, I like what you've got going on. I think you're let down a little bit by your lack of really solid, consistent setup. I mean,
Yeah,
you've got Dragon Dance on Dragapult, and Mian Shao can Swords Dance or Calm Mind if you want to be weird. But they're not, it's not set up one turn and the match is over like
right,
Volcarona would
yeah.
be or like Kartana could be.
But I do have Togekiss, so I could cheese a victory.
I mean, if you're gonna whip out Tailwind, Nasty Plot, Air/Togekiss, I think you deserve to win, and then you deserve to be banned.
Yeah. I may or may not plan it, who knows, who knows. But yeah, there's just a lot of really nice things. I think the one thing I don't like about it is we've mentioned Manectric. I definitely wanted Lantern ahead of time, but I'll take it for now. But other than
Um,
that, I think it's a good team.
I do think it's a good team. I think the other thing that's going to let you down is you've got that huge gap from Dragapult to Mienshao,
Oh yeah,
which in your division, it doesn't matter a ton. I think it lets Inteleon run Modest if it wants to, and it lets. I don't even think Salazzle can afford Modest, but in your out of division matches, there's a lot of Pokemon in that range that can afford to
yeah.
drop a lot of speed for positive attack or special attack
Especially the
natures.
Blaziken division because those guys just have just really speedy mons up top. At least like their highest.
Yeah, they do.
So with that, you want to give the ranking for this team if it wasn't obvious?
Yeah, I really like this team, especially versus your division. And so I think this is probably the best team in Infernape division in a self-contained sense.
So I gave it a fear factor of 7 out of 10, purely because Dragapult and Pinsir, and then just the amount of throw up that you're going to want to do because of Tangrowth and Togekiss.
Yeah,
Uh,
no, that's fair. I see both of those and I want to immediately throw up.
yeah. I definitely probably could have gone a little bit higher, but I just think that there's scarier things like, Gators team. So I couldn't rate it
Yeah,
higher. With that, let's go on to the last division, starting with the Gyarados lover himself, BigSchoen of the Tennessee Red Gyarados, and
all
his
right.
Lance team.
Yeah, I think we need to preface this one by saying that this is a theme team. It's based entirely around the Pokemon trainer Lance from the main series games. And everything on this team, I think except Ampharos, can be found on one of his teams, whether it's in Pokemon Stadium or a main series game or like the World Tournament in Black 2, White 2. I think Ampharos was the only one that he ran out of picks for and
Yeah.
had to pick something out.
Yeah. I mean, it's a very scary looking team if you just like no brain look at it. Because Dragonite, Charizard, Gyarados, not, the most fun things to look at.
There are 8 different Pokemon that can learn Dragon Dance on this team.
That is also very terrifying.
Right? Like I think this team has I can't call it the best setup, but it has really consistent setup. Something is gonna set up every match and it's gonna be scary every time.
Definitely. What's also nice about this team, its main weaknesses are water and ice, but then you just have Lapras right there, and it's going to have like water absorb pretty much every week. So, there's not much you're going to be able to do there with that.
Yeah, I think this team has a lot of flaws, and I think those flaws are inherent in trying to draft a theme team.
Yeah.
And I think if Shane can get over those weaknesses, like he's only got Stealth Rock, he's got 4 sources of rocks, but no other hazards. He doesn't have super solid removal because they're all weak to rocks, or don't really usually have the space in their moveset to remove rocks. Um, and I think if he can overcome those weaknesses, he's going to do great.
I mean, he showed
But
us in week 1 that he's already making advantage of one of the first rule changes this season, which is unbanning Perish by using a Perish trap. So
that's true.
I definitely see him doing that a lot more this season.
Yeah. That being said, I did not take week 1 battles into account
Right,
with
right.
with
Of
these
course.
rankings. But yeah, I think if he can find a way to overcome the weaknesses of this team, he's going to do really good. But I think this team has huge flaws that are kind of come with the package of drafting around a theme team that is type restricted.
Yeah. So with that, I gave it a fear factor of 8 out of 10 just because there are very scary mons, and like you said, pretty much more than half gets Dragon Dance, which is terrifying to think about.
Yeah, the only 2 Mons on that team that can't set up in some capacity are Arcanine and Ampharos.
Yeah.
But I guess Ampharos can agility, and so can Arcanine, but that shouldn't count. That doesn't count.
You want to give your division ranking then?
I don't think I can give this anything higher than 4th. I mean, it's got scary things, and I know Dragon Dance is the thing that Shane really excels at using, but this team has such easily exploitable flaws that I think he's an uphill battle every week.
Yeah. With that, let's go to team number 14, Wailingpen of the Chicago Blues. This team has a lot of interesting mons and a lot of mons that I actually really, really like. I think everyone knows I love Metagross. And then there's also Muckavola and Finny and Thundurus. There's a lot of just really nice stuff here.
Yeah, I like a lot of the things on this team. I like the kind of fairy dragon steel core of Finny and Garchomp and Metagross. I think that's going to be a really reliable kind of buster team for him.
Yeah, and then there's Tangela as well, which I bet he would have taken Tangrowth if I hadn't. So there's really good defensive stuff because Muck, Licky Licky, and Tangela.
Yeah, I like the bulk on this team a lot. It's especially with Finny over there with the Misty Surge all the time.
Yeah.
It's going to be very hard to status wear down these things. So, I mean, a Metagross that can't be burned or a Garchomp that can't be burned is a huge threat, much more so than they would be otherwise.
And then a lot of things on here as well can set up because we got Garchomp, we got Finny, Mimikyu, Metagross, Thundurus can set up if you want. I feel like almost everything here can set up, which is terrifying to think about.
Yeah, no, I agree. I like the setup on this team a lot, especially like I said in that Misty Train. Almost everything benefits from that. I think Moltres and Thundurus are the only two things that aren't getting some benefit off of that.
Yeah.
I like his hazards options. He's got 2 rocks, a spikes, a toxic spikes, and he's got a Selgor as his main source of those spikes. And a Selgor is so fast that you can't stop it from setting those up.
Yeah.
It doesn't do a ton of things. It mostly just sets up those spikes, U-turns out, or final gambits to take something down with it. But it's extremely reliable at doing those things.
Yeah. So I gave it a fear factor of, I'm gonna say, I wrote down one number, but now that I'm looking at it again, I want to change it. I kind of want to give it a 6 because of Garchomp and Finny. But it has a lot of really nice mons on this team. So it'll be nice to see how they're used together.
Yeah, I like this team a lot. I think the thing that's going to let it down is that while it does have tons of power, it's a similar situation to Gators, where all the power is under 100 speed. Thundurus is the only thing over 100 speed that's really.
I mean, there's a reason I always run Scarf Metagross.
Yeah,
but yeah,
it does need that speed. And like Thundurus is very scary, but it doesn't have the move pool to be scary against everything. If you can wall electric attacks, its coverage moves aren't gonna.
And I feel like almost
always
everyone
patch it
has
up.
like 1 or 2 things. So yeah.
Yeah. If you've got an electric immunity, particularly one that's light enough that Grass Knot's not going to hurt it, then you're golden. Like that, what team has lanterns? Darkington basically doesn't have to worry about Thundurus at all.
Yep. So with that, what would you put it in the division?
I think it's number 2 in this division because despite those faults, everything is scary. There's not anything on this team that I'm not worried about showing up.
All right. Let's move on to team number 15 then, which is JK of the Route 2 Rattata. This team, like, I had to really look and think on this team just because I could not get a good initial opinion on it. But it is a good team. I do think I do think it's a good team. I love Claydol. Whenever I see someone draft Claydol, I'm always happy because it's such a nice mon. And then it has
Claydol is so good, and it got so much better with Teleport.
Oh yeah, and I mean also the rapid spin getting speed now. It can help. But yeah, Ditto's on this team. Melmetal, Latios, Entei, Tornadus. Like, there's just a lot of really nice things. The one weird pick is Raticate, which I'm we kind of said it about Zico's team. Very curious to see what it's gonna do.
Yeah, I can't believe that any Raticates were drafted.
And we got both of them. So it's going to be very interesting to see what they do. But yeah, there's a lot of just really nice mons on this team. It's got really good top speed with Beedrill and Tornadus. But then it's really heavy hitter and Melmetal is just so slow.
Yeah. I think Beedrill is going to have a hard time breaking steals because all it's got is drill run.
Yeah.
And I think this team as a whole is going to have a hard time with steals just because Entei is very good, but it's predictable. And
Yeah.
the only other things that are here really specifically for steals are Claydol and Swampert, both of which are relatively slow and easy to exploit.
Yeah.
But I think if you can get around steel types, this is a fantastic team. And I can't wait to watch Radicate rip
Oh
this
yeah,
division apart.
I'm so excited to see I mean
I'm
both
just
Radicates, but yeah.
I'm
Um,
looking at this Radicate and I'm looking at its 97 base speed and I'm watching a gut set just rip apart like 2/3 of this division, and I can't wait to see it happen.
and then Ditto is just always a great mon to have. I'm pretty sure like almost everyone generally is gunning for Ditto because having Ditto is just such a good fear factor in itself because you have to prep for your opponent's team and then you also have to prep for your team. It's
Yeah,
just it's
having
disgusting.
Ditto in the division with the Dragon Dance man himself is just a chef's kiss right there.
Yeah. So that'll be a fun battle to watch. But yeah, it's a very scary team. I gave it a 7, just like initially because of Ditto and Melmetal. But when you look more into it, it definitely has there's definitely a higher fear factor than an initial one.
Yeah, I really like this team. I think it's got all the pieces it needs to do really well. And I think even Radicate, which absolutely is a weird pick and absolutely like on 90% of teams and 90% of divisions would be a bad pick. I think where it is in this division, I think it's actually going to be interesting to watch.
Oh, 100%. Um,
Uh,
I don't know if you have anything else for this team. I guess your division ranking.
yeah, no, I think especially in this division where we've got Mr. D Dance himself, I think this is by and away the best team in Blaziken division.
Yeah, I would definitely agree there. It's very, very nice team. And then we go to the last team. So for context, we just had a drop because someone was very upset that they lost their first match. So someone actually is replacing this team, and they actually sent me their trades an hour before making this. So it's not reflective of that, but this is the team that was drafted, and so we're going to be discussing that.
Yeah, so this is not going to be reflective of the rest of the season, but this is supposed to be a reflection on the draft and going forward from there. So it'll look different as the season goes on. But we've got pretty decent speed. I like the top end. We've got 4 things above 100, which I think is really good. I really like Crocodile. Serena, every time I see someone use Serena, I like it more and I want to draft it. I'm not a huge fan of the tail end of the bulk. I don't like Weezing, Azumarill, Dino on this team. I don't think they're offering as
Yeah,
much as
very
they could.
interesting. But yeah, Noivern, very scary mon. Gallade Mega, very scary. Crocodile, as you said, very scary. There's a lot of really good mons on here. It'll be interesting to see a lot of them work together. Queenly Majesty, I'm trying to think if that's, I guess against Muck that could be pretty good. I don't think there's anything.
Yeah, it never hurts, but
never
it might
hurts.
not always benefit.
Yeah. He definitely doesn't have to worry about it as much as I think some other people.
Yeah, I think this team has really good glue mons. It has a lot of stuff that's going to do a really good job of eating hits. It's got great bulk. It's got good pivot potential between mons. It doesn't have anything that I'm looking at and going, that's the thing that wins the game every week. That's going to decide the match.
Yeah. Like a lot of things will do, a good chunk of damage overall, but nothing hard carries.
Yeah. And, Gallade is going to punch holes, but it can't boost its speed at all. So unless you're baton passing, an agility from Zapdos, I think that's actually the only way he can get this thing speed.
Yeah.
I don't see it carrying games because it's so easy to prep for something that's base 110 that cannot get faster.
And because of that, I give it a fear factor of 6.5 out of 10, and it's very heavily carried by Noivern and Crocodile.
Yeah, I wasn't blown away by this team. I think it's decent, but it doesn't wow me. And so I had it at 3rd in the division, only ahead of Mr. Memes.
Mr. Memes, yeah. With that, I guess we can discuss our overall rankings. Shall we?
Sure. How do you want to do this? Do you want me to run down my list and then you
Yeah.
run down yours?
Yeah. Let's do that.
Okay. So at number one, the scariest team in kind of going across the board is, I think it's definitely Bucs. I think that team is so well crafted, and I think as long as he's piloting it well, it's probably my favorite to win every match it goes into. You'd have to work really hard to take it down.
Okay.
After that, I've got me. I really like my team. I think my speed tiers and the fact I don't think we mentioned this. I did manage to draft one of every single type, which I love. And right at the end of the draft, I was trying really hard to kind of squeeze the last few types in. And I think it's going to be hard to prep for and hard to work against. At number 3, I actually have JK because, like I said, I think that's a really solid team, and I think he's going to do great things with that. Next up, I have Wailingpen, and I think he's just got, he's also got a very solid team. I think it's going to be let down by the speed, but not enough to consistently hurt it. Up at number 5, I've got Cuppa. I really like the power. I like the front end, top heavy speed that it's got going. And I think if it can kind of break its way through the rain in his division against Bucs, I think if he can beat that, the rest of his battles are going to be a lot easier. At 6, I have DZBanned, which is let down by a low top speed, but otherwise is an extremely solid team. At 7, I've got Ucraft, because kind of for the opposite way, you are kind of bolstered up by an extremely high top speed, which pushed you past a couple of people that you were kind of on par with. And I think Dragapult's going to pull you forward with that. At 8, I have Pup. Pup's got a really reliable, solid team, but the speeds are all clumped together, and I've been harping on speed all night because it's so important in prep. It decides your match kind of ahead of time. Next up, I've got Middy. I like every piece of Middy's team. I don't love how slow it is. It stops at 110, and that's just not fast enough anymore. And I think that's the thing holding him back, because every single piece of it is good otherwise. Next up, which I believe is 9. I've lost track of which number is which. We've got
10.
Am I at 10?
I think it's 10.
Okay. We're at the coach that dropped the empty dead slot. The team is very solid, but like I said, it has no wow factor. It has no game-ending Pokemon on it, and I think that's going to hurt it. Next up, we have Kronos, who is held up by extremely powerful top-heavy Mons and just good, reliable Mons in the middle. And I think if he can overcome his hazard problems in his inability to remove it, and he can find a way to make that team heal a little better, he's going to have a great season. Next up, we have Oremity, who kind of a similar problem to the no coach slot, where he's got nothing that's really wowing me as this is the game ender. He's got great bulk and nothing to really take advantage of it once you've whittled stuff down. After Oremity at number, what is that now? That's 13. Yeah, 13. I've got Gators, who has a really solid, bulky team that is very slow, and it's going to get picked on for that. So I like the stuff on his team. I don't see anything outside of Mega Mawile or Hydreigon, though, that's really going to be kind of one-shotting things. So he's in for a long haul, and I think that's going to let him down in a lot of matches where something gets crit or burned, or he loses a match off a random roll for hack because he's just so slow that he's opening himself up to that. And then next up at 14, I've got Darkington's team, where this is, like I said, this is a team where I see all the pieces. Conceptually, I understand that each of those Pokemon is probably fine. I don't see this team working as a cohesive unit, and I think the team is going to suffer a lot for it. At 15, I got Zicofool, who I think she went a little too far into trying stuff she was interested in. And honestly, she'll probably surprise me because I made fun of Brion the first time she drafted it.
She always surprises us, yeah.
She's going to whip out the weirdest stuff, but I got to see it in action, and that's not what I'm ranking on today. Today I'm ranking on strength on paper, and I don't see it in this team. And then last, I have BigSchoen's team, Uh, Mr. Dragon, I can't in good faith call this a good team. It is so easy to prep for, not because it's bad, but because everything is weak to the same stuff. You've got so many rock weak mons, so many ice weak mons. They all set up the same way. So anybody who's good at exploiting those weaknesses is not going to have a free win, because I mean, a lot of these mons are scary, but they have a clear and easy way to prep that I think Big Shane's going to have a hard time getting around.
All right. Then I guess it's my turn to trash on everyone.
Yeah, do it.
So I put first up. I actually put you.
Gross.
Your team is disgusting. It's just very disgusting. Arrow is amazing. Nothing outspeeds it. You have to, you're forced to run Scarf or Priority or something. There's just a lot of just really disgusting and good things on that team. I mean, Lele Lucha is going to be annoying to fight against. I don't think I fight against you, so I think I'm lucky in that sense. But
I'm going to take you out of playoffs. Let's go.
anyone else, I'm so sorry. Second up is Bucs. So, our top two are the same. It's a really good team. Bucs drafted a really good team. I think it's one of the best teams he's ever made. Deoxys defense is amazing. Coco's amazing. And his his rain core is great. Hopefully he makes Lucky proud there. Third up, I actually put Pup, which is I think where we heavily differ. Just because I think Mega Medicham is just so strong that I had to put it up higher. And I think there's just a lot of really good offensive stuff on that team. And I think it'll carry it very far. Next up, I put DZBanned, but these next three are very, very close with one another, I would say, in their rankings. So DZBanned, I put him next. So like we mentioned, really good offense, Garchomp, Gyarados, and then it also has just really and Kartana, and it just also has really good synergy and really good mons overall. Next, I put Wailingpen in what is that, 5th place? So just really, there's pretty much everything there can set up and destroy you. And I think you have to be very careful about that. And it also just has nice bulk. Let's see. After that, I put JK actually. He has a really good team. It's really strong. Definitely a lot of stuff to be scared about. And yeah, ditto. There's ditto. Not much that can be said there. Next, I put Cuppa in, what is that, 7th? Yeah. Zeraora is terrifying always. Charizard, Mew, and Didi. There's a lot of just really nice mons on that team that work well with one another. And again, sorry to anyone who has to face it. After that, I put myself. I like this team. I think has really, really fast things there and really strong things there. And there's just good bulk as well. Just like everything that you want, just everything you want is there, except maybe webs. Afterwards, I put Middy, our Season 10 champion. His team is good, but I feel like it's just lacking a little bit, but it has really nice bulk. And so just because of how unkillable it's going to be, I had to bump it up. Afterwards, actually starting with Middy, our next three are an exact match. So after Middy, it's the empty team. It has really nice things with Gallade and Noivern, and those two are going to, I think, poke enough holes that the rest of the team can just clean up very nicely. And then afterwards, because we're matching, Kronos would be up next. His, top 4 mons are incredibly disgusting to look at. Lopunny, Crobat, Weavile, Gliscor. But the reason it's down lower is, as I mentioned, it's just an easy weakness with Ice Shard and Bullet Punch. After Kronos, I put, we had our next two swapped. So I put Gators first. So he's in the 12th spot. It's a really nice team, but it definitely feels like it's lacking a little bit. Salazzle, Hydreigon, Rotom Wash are great, and then Skarmory, but it just feels like something's a little lacking and it's not the fastest thing out there, which is going to hurt it a lot. Afterwards would be Oremity. Nothing really stood out to me on that team, as I mentioned before, and although there are like really good mons on that team, you definitely just nothing really stood out and felt like it could do a lot without setting up, or it's going to take time, I think, for that team. Afterwards, I actually put BigSchoen. I think his team, although it's ridiculous and it's definitely not good, but I definitely think that it will be able to do a lot of damage to a lot of people. And because of that, I put it up. I think a lot of the things on there can support one another, and of course, Dragon Dance is scary. And just there is a good type variety on there as well, which helps it. Afterwards, I put Darkington's team at number 15. Nothing stood out on that team as being like, without setup, I feel like most things on there aren't the best. And it's also not very fast. So I think it's going to have a lot of issues hitting people without, getting hit or going down first. Which means in the last spot is sadly Zico's team. And like we've mentioned, there's just a lot of very wacky mons on there, which I'm, very excited to see used. But I don't think it helps Zico very much because of that. So that's me.
I think overall, I like the overall quality of these teams. I think enough people have the same repeating issues that nobody's going to get punished as bad for it as they could have been. There's a lot of issues with speed tiers, and I think everybody is having that problem. So it might actually not be as big a deal as I made it out to be. I think it's really interesting that we have both Raticates drafted, but none of the Lycanrocs got drafted. I don't think I've ever seen
That's
the
true.
Lycanrocs
I didn't
not
even think
get drafted.
about that. And then we also have Magmar.
And Magmar, yeah.
Yeah, so there's a lot of unconventional picks this season that will be very, very interesting to see what they do. But I think it's going to be an interesting season. And I guess we'll see everyone back mid-season for, a mid-season update.
Oh, I can't wait to respond to the rage that this one's going to start because everyone's going to hate me. Ending disclaimer, these are just our opinions, man. Like, this is just how we felt looking at these.
This is the official rankings,
Oh, no. You're going to get me beat up. Shane's going to come to my house and break me in half.
But yeah, it's an opinion. Everyone's going to have different, thoughts. But, if you have arguments you want to make, go ahead, make your arguments, but we won't, update anything because of them.
Yeah, no, this already happened. If you dislike where I put you on the list, please prove me wrong.
Prove us wrong for, the mid-season update.
I can't wait to see who slides around based purely on battle skills. Like, I want to see Kronos jump to number 2 because he just wipes the floor with everybody or something.
I want to see those Raticates going 6-0 every week.
Kill leader, Raticate. Kill leader number 2, Raticate Alola. Here we go.
So yeah, definitely. It'll be a very interesting season. And then also, whoever's going to take over that 16th spot. Definitely.
Yeah, I haven't even heard about the trades, so I can't wait to see what that team
got them before, we started recording this. So it's interesting. It'll be very interesting to see what happens.
Anywhere.
Yeah. So with that, thank you guys for watching T4U's official PRs for Season 11.
I'm uncomfortable with the amount of power you've now given me.
Well, your power is now over.
Excellent. Goodbye.
See you guys later. Thanks for watching.
Bye, guys.